This is the original podcast edition of The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton, now part of the complete Pirates of Wefravain series. The books are available as audiobooks, ebooks, and paperbacks. This podcast originally aired from 2010 to 2014. Stick around after the story for commentary from me, the author, more than a decade later. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers, a novel of pirates in Panamindorah. Written and narrated by Abigail Hilton. Book 4, Out of the Ashes. Warning: this novel was intended for people who shop in the grown-up section of the bookstore. If you need to ask whether you will be offended, you probably will. Episode 12. Chapter 34. Double Cross.
Leopons, Leons, and Ocelons keep a low profile in Wefravain. While they are not viewed as a prey species, they could be viewed as competitors to Grishnards, which is just as bad. Nevertheless, the crime lords of Cern have gathered a certain amount of real power over the years. Ocelons, while not powerful, have become numerous. Leons live undetected among the Grishnard population. At some point, a conflict with Grishnards seems likely. Gawain, the non-Grishnards of Wefravain.
With his head on Gerard's shoulder, Silvio didn't have to look up at anyone, and Gerard thought that was a good thing. Gawain reached out and patted Silvio's back. This time, Silvio didn't flinch.
Well, we did get the job done, didn't we? With 2 of your shouts and 2 of mine.
For having lost your best weapon,
Marlowe said,
I think what you accomplished on the Swordfish was beyond impressive. To defuse a situation like what happened back there, without being able to talk, it's impossible.
That situation wouldn't have happened if I'd given Elia what he wanted yesterday,
said Silvio, but Gerard didn't translate it. Silvio's half-coherent thoughts rambled on.
Everyone lay down for a rest at dawn, and he tried. But I got away and crawled in with Kaloan. He laughed, but he didn't do anything to me. Talked to me for a while. I didn't sleep. Elliot didn't really want sex. He wanted to humiliate me, make sure I knew who was boss. But if I'd humored him, given him the submission he wanted, made him feel good, he wouldn't have hurt me. Or not much. And he wouldn't have attacked us later.
Gerard put a hand against the side of his face.
Silvio, I'm glad you...
But Silvio wasn't listening.
I learned that lesson as a kid. I don't know what's the matter with me. I got lucky back there. Leopons can hurt you if they want to. I mean, they can really hurt you. One of those Ocelons in my brothel ran afoul of a Leopon customer one time. He tore her up so bad. She took 6 days to die, raving with fever and oozing with pus and blood.
Stop,
growled Gerard.
I don't want to hear it. Silvio, please.
Silvio fell silent. He twisted so that his belly was against Gerard's chest, and his face was completely hidden against his shoulder. His tail curled up over his body. For a moment, Gerard thought he'd calmed down. Then he gave a sob that was completely silent. But Gerard felt his breath hitch and all his muscles clench. Gerard put a hand against the back of Silvio's head and stroked his hair. He turned away from the others. He didn't care what they thought, but he wanted some privacy. He put his mouth against Silvio's drooping ear.
You're safe. Shh.
Are you angry at me?
Silvio's voice was a whisper in his head.
No.
I was afraid they'd hurt you if they thought you meant anything to me. If they threatened you, they could make me do things I didn't want to, like stay and do jobs for Kaloan. I didn't want them to know you were that valuable to me.
I gathered that. But Silvio, we're not going to do anything like this again. I can't stand it.
All right.
His breath gave another jarring hitch.
No claws.
Gerard thought.
This is the wrong time to talk to you. You'll agree to anything right now.
Behind them, Gerard heard Marlowe talking to Lou.
How did you get that eye spray past the search?
She laughed.
I brought it in as powder, just a packet. Then today I bought an empty perfume bottle from one of the dancers and suspended the powder in oil from some of the food. But I had the bottle in my pack when we ran into trouble. I didn't have the bulb attached, which was foolish. That's why I dropped down on the floor and curled up. Elia put on such a show that no one really looked at me, and I was able to get out the bottle and put it together.
Lou paused.
Did you see what I was doing, Sylvie?
Silvio gave a little snort. He was still sniffling, but not as violently.
He says he was too busy being a diversion,
said Gerard. Silvio wanted to be put down, but he seemed unsteady on his feet and reached up for Gerard's hand.
Gods, I hate being like this in front of other people.
He says he prefers to fall apart in private. He's also bemoaning the loss of his clothes. He forgot them in Colowen's office because he was trying to get out of there so quickly.
Silvio Lemire forgot something?
Said Gawain with mock astonishment.
Clothes, no less.
Silvio made a face at him.
You can talk. You're not wearing hideous rags that look like they ought to belong to a refuse collector.
At least no one will recognize you,
said Marlowe.
At least you don't look like you should have a price tag,
said Lou, with more mischief than tact, but Silvio laughed. The laugh turned into a yawn.
All right, let's get this over so I can sleep.
Gerard picked him up again as they started away. Silvio protested weakly, but then settled down with a long sigh. Gerard heard Marlowe say, with a snicker,
Serwyn, I'm tired. Hold me.
Serwyn gave a squawk.
Get off me, you oaf. Or I'll take back every good thing I ever said about you.
Silvio opened one eye.
Are they mocking us?
In a friendly way, I think.
You know,
said Gawain,
listening to half your conversation is really odd.
Gerard glanced at him.
Well, I can do what he's doing, it's just not easy, and I forget sometimes. And I'm getting more relaxed around all of you.
I still wish we'd killed Elia,
grumbled Serwyn.
If things seem ugly with my uncle in charge here, it's nothing to how it will look under him.
Silvio sniffed.
I doubt Elia will ever be in charge of the Reza family.
Gerard conveyed this information. Serwyn glanced at Silvio and then back at Gerard.
Why does he say that?
Silvio gave a lazy wave of his tail.
A Schelt like Colowen needs some jobs done that require cruelty, jobs that will make enemies, inspire hatred. He needs someone willing to do that sort of thing, and Elia is more than willing. A Schelt like Colowen also wants the offspring who inherit his empire to be tough, agile, able to handle Schelts like Elia. He'll use his meanest, most aggressive kid like a whetstone to sharpen the rest.
Serwyn listened to Gerard. He cocked his head.
You think he'll kill Elia when he's finished?
Silvio nodded.
Elia isn't smart enough to run the Reza family. You have to be cruel when it's expedient, but also have to know when to apply flattery and kindness. Elia doesn't. Take me, for instance. Killing me would have been purely wasteful. Hurting me and then leaving me alive would have been deeply stupid. But Elia doesn't see that. All he sees is a foxling dock rat presuming to tell him what to do. Colowen, on the other hand, has always been kind to me. Not because he cares about me, I'd be stupid to think that, but because he knows I'm useful, and there's nothing to be gained by making me an enemy. He also doesn't care what species you are as long as you're good at your job, and he'll learn from you if he thinks you've got something worth teaching. Elia won't. Colowen probably won't have to kill him. He'll just give Elia enough rope to hang himself, although I'm guessing he wants the brat around for a while yet. He'll use him to sweep the deck for a quieter, smarter, more calculating heir who's waiting somewhere in the background. That person will be liked because he'll have kept his hands clean. He'll probably be just as capable of cruelty, but less capricious.
Serwyn listened to all this with great attention.
I hope you're right. It would be such justice.
Silvio shook his head.
There's no justice. I wouldn't be alive if there was, huh? Put me down, Gerard. We're almost there.
They were angling back towards the docks. Gerard could smell smoke now, and he could hear the distant shouts. He remembered that long-ago evening after meeting Gawain in the tea-house, when Silvio had threatened to burn Aslan town.
This was probably the fate the old ones were trying to avoid when they sold us.
He didn't feel justified, though, only sad. He watched the dim glow on the horizon and remembered a children's game scratched in a narrow dirt street. The burning tent city smelled and sounded almost like a burning ship.
Tar,
Silvio explained.
They use it to waterproof the tents, and they use oil-based paints, just like we do at sea.
Do you have any family in Aslan town, Lou?
She hesitated.
Probably. But I lost contact with them when I moved to Haplag.
Her voice was flat. Gerard could not tell what she thought about it.
She had 14 siblings, with nearly as many fathers. Her mother was a dancer. Lou was lucky that apothecary took an interest in her. He kept her from starving or ending up on stage.
Silvio did not sign any of this, and Gerard did not translate. The Selkie Sport turned out to be a tavern close enough to the docks to appeal to sailors, but far enough away to discourage the sort of patrons who flung into the first drinking establishment they came to after stepping off a ship. It had attractive, well-made furniture, a dance floor, and a balcony for musicians. The place was practically empty when they arrived a little after midnight. Gerard spotted Farrell at once. He was sitting alone at a table, not even pretending to write, and the logbook in front of him. There were 3 other Shelts sitting on the far side of the room, drinking and talking in low voices. When they came through the door, Farrell stood. He looked tense and pale, and 10 years older than when Gerard had last seen him. He started to come around the table, then changed his mind and waited for them to cross the room. He stared at Silvio, as though he couldn't quite believe his eyes. When they reached the table, Farrell still didn't seem to know what to do, so Gerard said,
Hello, Farrell.
His eyes darted to Gerard. He blinked and swallowed. Gerard couldn't tell whether Farrell was just recognizing him, or whether he was merely agitated. Farrell's level of anxiety was beginning to bother him. He could feel himself bristling uncomfortably against his pants. Silvio had an odd expression on his face.
He can't speak,
Gerard said, wondering if that was producing the awkwardness.
but he signs, and we can translate for him.
Farrell nodded, as though he'd already known this. He took a deep breath, but his voice came in a near whisper.
Do you trust me, Silvio?
Silvio's brow furrowed. He gave a hesitant nod, and Gerard saw his eyes flick around the room. Then a familiar voice from the side sneered,
How unfortunate for you.
The Shelts who'd been eating jumped up and drew weapons. Serwin bellowed, and, out of the corner of his eye, Gerard saw Gawain stagger. Gerard whipped toward the balcony and saw an archer. He heard a hiss and turned back in time to see that Silvio had dodged a second arrow. Silvio must have thrown a knife because the archer dropped his bow with a clatter and stumbled backwards out of sight. There was no time to celebrate this small victory. Half a dozen Grishnards charged through the front door of the tavern, and as many more came from within. Gerard tried to lead a retreat towards the exit, but it was no use. They were surrounded, outnumbered by at least 4-1, and Gawain was wounded. More archers had replaced the ill-fated sharpshooter. Gerard saw the Admiral approaching from behind the counter at the back. He glittered in cloth of gold, trimmed with lapis. Gerard was beginning to loathe the sight of him.
Lay down your weapons, or we'll shoot the fawn first and the foxling second.
Gerard darted a glance at the others. Gawain's mouth was set in a tight line. He was trying to stand on his own, but Marlowe had a hand on his shoulder. Silvio had backed up against Gerard. The soldiers rushed them. Gerard felt his sword enter flesh, but then it was ripped away. Someone was beating him savagely with the butt of a spear, and then he was on the ground, and they were tying his hands. Over the shouts and clatter, he heard Lyali Nern bellow,
Don't enter the Grishnard! The priestess would be furious!
Then they were jerking him to his feet and pushing him forward. He saw that they'd pulled Gawain and Silvio away from the rest of the group and were searching them. There was a clatter as one of Silvio's knives hit the floor, and a thump as they found a book in Gawain's pocket. Nern's golden eyes were shining.
Now we have your leaders. One false move, and we will kill them. If you escape, they will die.
He turned to Farrell, who was standing by himself, looking pale and desolate.
Farrell,
Purred the Admiral.
you have entirely redeemed yourself. You will keep your command, and there will be other rewards for this evening's work.
Gerard glared at Farrell, who did not meet his eyes. He half expected Silvio to say something vitriolic, but Silvio wasn't speaking. They had tied his hands behind his back, and a Sea-Watch sailor had what looked like a painfully tight hold on his scruff. The bruise on his cheek had started to purple. He looked small and hurt and desperately tired. Gwaine was limping badly. No one had bothered to remove the arrow in his left thigh, and a crimson stain was spreading across the front of his trousers. Nern Schultz didn't give them time to think, but hurried them out of the tavern and down the street at a fast walk. They kept Gwaine and Silvio together, and well away from the others. Gerard didn't recognize any of the Sea-Watch sailors. They looked competent and fierce, Grishnards with good weapons and good training. He tried desperately to think of some way out of their predicament.
Silvio, what can we do?
Silvio's voice, when he finally spoke, sounded panicky.
I don't know, Gerard, but I think I know who the Admiral is. I think I know why you had that dream. Gerard, I'm scared. I don't know what to do. I'm tired and I can't think and I shouldn't have trusted Pharrell. And I don't know what to do.
Gerard wanted to tell him that it would be all right, but Silvio's panic was infectious. They needed something clever, and if Silvio couldn't see a way out, Gerard didn't know how he could do any better. He tried to look around at Gwaine, but the Grishnard behind him gave him a cuff and urged him on a little faster. Lou stumbled, and one of the Grishnards dragged her to her feet by her hair. She yelped, twisted away from him, and another sailor tripped her. There was general laughter, but the Admiral's voice cut in.
No playing with them!
But it's just an Ocelon,
whined one of the sailors.
Mistress wants these shelts unharmed. There will be other Ocelons.
Gerard was sure that he'd seen someone confiscate Lou's little bottle of poison spray, and her hands were tied in any case. His head ached.
We're all tired.
He wondered where Felbane and the Griffins from the Nightingale had got to. A Griffin attack could scatter the Sea-Watch long enough to make an escape.
But the Griffins could be anywhere, even back with the Nightingale.
The fire created a false dawn in the sky to their right. Every now and then, Schultz ran past them. Gerard suspected the fire was closing in on the warehouse district.
Think, Gerard.
But he could think of nothing. The docks appeared much too quickly. Gerard saw the familiar silhouette of the Fang. All the torches on deck had been lit. The ship had been sanded and varnished to remove the gaudy crimson paintwork that had been Silvio's signature, but the bronze wyvern figurehead still gleamed. He was surprised to see, as he came on deck, that the other sailors were waiting for them. He hadn't expected to see any except the night watch, but it looked as though every member of the crew were standing by. These were Schultz Gerard recognized, members of the Fang's old complement. He wondered whether they knew who they were about to lock in the cells below decks, whether they cared. Nern's group seemed to relax as they came aboard. They began to talk and laugh among themselves.
Get chains,
Gerard heard the Admiral say.
I want them fettered hand and foot, taken below and locked in separate rooms.
He stopped talking abruptly. The deck had gone totally silent. Gerard turned and saw Silvio and Gwaine coming over the side of the ship. Silvio looked nothing like himself, with no coal and ugly, mud-spattered clothes that were too big for him. He was moving slowly and mechanically, but he paused, blinking in the lantern light, to look at the Schultz on deck. A murmur ran through the waiting crew. Nern's high, angry voice cut across them.
Take the prisoners below, and then I want everyone who is not on watch in their hammocks.
Behind the Admiral, Pharrell raised his head. There was a fierce little smile on his face. He gave an almost imperceptible nod, and every Sea-Watch who'd been waiting on the Fang drew their weapons. Gerard realized, suddenly, that every single one of them wore feathers. That concludes this recording of The Guild of the Cowry Catchers, Book 4, Out of the Ashes. Book 5 is the final installment in the Guild of the Cowry Catchers series. It is called Shores Beyond the World. If you're listening on podiobooks.com, you can do a search and see if it's up. If not, you may be able to find the book in progress on my website at cowrycatchers.com. You have been listening to The Guild of the Cowry Catchers by Abigail Hilton. Copyright Abigail Hilton. Cowry Catchers is an illustrated story with ink and watercolor artwork by Sarah Cloutier. You can view the sketch art for free on the website at cowrycatchers.com, and the episode covers provide a sneak peek at the finished artwork. If you'd like to view the complete illustrations and support the podcast, the ebook is for sale on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Smashwords, Kobo, and most other ebook platforms. As of this recording, it costs $5. A big thank you in advance to those who purchase the book or review it. This podcast included the vocal talents of
Nathan Lowell
as Gerard,
Norm Sherman,
as Silvio,
Chris Lester,
as Gwaine,
Hughes Hilton,
as Marlowe,
Amy Watkins,
as Lou,
Terry Mixon,
as Pharrell,
Brian Lincoln,
as Serwin,
Jeff McDowell,
as Lyali Nern,
Big Anglovich,
as a sailor. Sound effects for this podcast were provided by SoundSnap, the Free Sound Project, and Sound Dogs. The intro music for this podcast was Grace by Beth Quist. The outro music is The River Between by Jamie Saber. Both were licensed with permission from Magnatune.net. Music for Book 4 of Cowry Catchers included selections from Digital Juice at digitaljuice.com and Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. It also included additional music from Beth Quist, Diana Rowan, and Jamie Saber, all from Magnatune.net. All music was licensed and used according to the terms of the websites. This is a standard copyright now. This podcast is provided for your personal enjoyment only. You can download and archive the episodes for your personal use. You may not re-upload, mirror, or publicly redistribute the audio files, nor can you alter, remix, or create derivative works. And I'm back. This is 2026 Abby, coming to you with a few thoughts on the final episode of what was once Book 4 and is now the middle of Book 2. So I'm still pleased with how this one comes out. I actually chose the closing music for this entire book because it was what I wanted to play under this one scene. And it feels like it is going to be a tragic scene. It feels like defeat. The whole thing feels like it's going to be a sad and dark ending until the very last sentence. So I'm still happy with how that worked. I liked how this music played into that, kind of has that the other shoe drops sort of feeling. The penny drops. Hopefully you remember Gwaine's previous conversation with Gerard, talking about how Silvio loses knives in fights, and the sailors have always brought them back to him over the years, and he gives them a feather to put in their hats, or to wear in jewelry, or whatever. The coming episode will be the outtakes for this book. I hope that gives you some giggles. I'll talk a little bit about what I was doing at the time when this finished, and then we will go straight into what used to be Book 5, but is now the second half of Book 2. I will see you there. This is Abigail Hilton, and you have been listening to the Pirates of Wefravain saga. Join me on Patreon for early episodes, long-form interviews, forum access, personal updates, and lots of artwork, including maps and species charts. That's patreon.com/Abigail Hilton. If you want the whole story now with no interruptions and some remastering of the early books for sound quality, you can find the entire series at shop.abigailhilton.com, along with all my other novels. The audiobooks are delivered by BookFunnel. Background music was Hidden Sky by Jamie Saber, licensed from Magnatune.net circa 2014. The Guild of the Cowry Catchers podcast is an audio adaptation of the Pirates of Wefravain saga, written and produced by Abigail Hilton. Original production copyright 2010, all rights are reserved to the author.